This audio recording will be a bit longer. I'll give multiple illustrations also, and I'll take my time to explain what I'm about to teach you here. Because what I'm about to teach you here is very important. I would say many of the videos, or almost all the videos I make, concern very important topics, because I wouldn't be sacrificing time making all these videos for you if it wasn't anything important. But what I'm about to say in this video is very important because there's a lot of disinformation about this subject on the internet. The internet can be used for both good or evil. There are also agents of darkness spreading lies on the internet, even lies in the name of Christ. There are many so-called self-help gurus out there who are agents to deceive you. Remember that. But okay, what I'm about to tell you now, if you need to write it down in a notebook as a note for yourself, do it. Going no contact is very important, but it's only legitimate when there's real danger towards you. Because if you would just cut contact with everyone just because you feel uncomfortable, just because you're upset, you are deceiving yourself. You're holding on to false security. And at the same time, it's not going to benefit you because as a social creature, you need social connection. However, just because you need social connection doesn't mean that every connection is going to be good for you. Some connections are toxic. Some connections are dangerous to you. And you need to learn to discern which ones are dangerous and take appropriate action. Too often, people hold on to their own expectations without examining them. They want to be respected, they want to be treated well. Now let me tell you, there are dangerous people that will treat you well, but are only treating you well just to keep you around. So if you only base your relationships on how people treat you, in the sense that you want to be respected, you want to be valued and all of that, of course you should pay attention to how people treat you, but make sure that your expectations concerning the behavior that you expect is realistic. Make sure that your expectations are not something that enable predators to prey on you. For example, a malignant narcissist will love bomb you in the beginning, and all your expectations are met. But is that a good connection? No, it is not. Let me repeat this. Beware that your own expectations are not enabling predators to remain around you. Make sure that your expectations don't make you vulnerable to become the target of predators. I'm repeating this because it's very important. Besides objectively proven dangerous connections, the best thing to do is just lower your contact with certain people. That's the best thing to do. In this case, you remain socially connected, you don't cause any offenses, and the other gets the option to reconsider their ways. But if it's proven that it's real danger for you, then don't discuss the matter, then do what you have to do. Okay, here comes the first illustration. You have Jack. Jack went no contact with his father because his father is always critical of him, never points out anything he does well, so he's breaking down Jack all the time. And as far as Jack can remember, he was always so bitter towards him. And it was only when Jack was 19 years old he realized, hold on a minute, the way my biological dad is treating me isn't right. Because Jack realized that he saw other people treating other people in such a way, and the perpetrators were dealt with. He knew that nobody could speak like that to their boss at work and get away with it. He also knew that no boss could treat employees that way and get away with it. He realized that his father was way out of line, and he had no intention of seeking help nor to repent, and he had no interest in the natural well-being of his son, that's Jack. And when Jack realized that his mother enabled his father in the negative, he realized that she was complying with his evil doing. So Jack spoke about this to his mother, but the mother didn't want to hear it. She wanted to hold the illusion that they were a happy family, that she had a happy marriage. So Jack got contact with both his parents because he realized those people are dangerous and they've chosen to make him the target of their frustrations, and he does not deserve that. He realized his safety was endangered. So he cut them off, and within 2 years he recovered of the psychological damage they've done onto him. After 2 years, things were going quite well with Jack. Now Jack has a grandfather that he used to speak to when he was a kid. He didn't see the grandfather for years, let's say for about 12 years. So he decided, you know what, let me contact my grandfather because soon he's not here anymore. So he contacted the grandfather by phone and they meet with one another, and it's a fun time. After their second meeting, the grandfather asks about his parents, and Jack tells him, "Grandpa, I don't speak to my parents anymore." And Grandpa asks, "Why is that?" "Well, my father, that means your son-in-law, he's out of his mind. He always has something bitter to say about me, ever since I was a kid." And then your grandpa says, "Well, I know, that's Jack Sr. He says that Jack Sr. because your father's name is Jack also. You're Jack Jr." And your grandfather tells you, "Well, I warned your mother when she was dating him to dump him because I saw already that the man was not in his right mind. But you know how young women can be. They made up their minds. They will whatever they want. She went for it. You were born very soon. Your siblings also. Well, and I just accepted it." And then Jack turns to his grandfather face to face, and he looked quite weird, and he asked, "Grandpa, so you knew Dad was out of his mind?" Your grandfather says, "Yes, Jack, I knew that man was out of his mind from the start. I just got along with it for the sake of my daughter. But me and that father of yours, we never really have any contact." And from there, the conversation continues. But then, like a week later, Jack hears that his parents are visiting his grandfather. And there are more relatives coming, and the grandfather even wanted to have a family meeting, so the whole family would come. And Jack was invited also. But Jack's girlfriend, whom he intended to marry, Jack's girlfriend told him, "Jack, why is your grandfather inviting your parents?" Jack said to her, "Dear, he's an old man, he's in his 70s, he probably just wants to have his family around him." The girlfriend tells him, "Jack, you are a very intelligent man. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with you. You're not stupid. However, you don't notice something very important here." And Jack asks her what's going on. She tells him plainly, "Jack, your grandfather told you he knew how messed up your father was, even before you were born. He told you he got along with it for the sake of his daughter. Please, Jack, something doesn't add up here. No grown man would tolerate their daughter getting involved with a narcissist or with a guy that's potentially dangerous. If the daughter would persist remaining with the guy, the father would do whatever he can to make sure that the relationship fails because he sees this man is dangerous to my daughter. But no grown man, because only grown men have adult children, no grown men will get along with the self-destructive decisions of their daughters. That doesn't add up, Jack." And then Jack thought about it for a moment and he thought, "Hold on a minute. Indeed, it's very weird." And when her girlfriend saw that he was thinking about it, she continued, "Jack, if your mother chose to remain with a man that wasn't right for her, a man that was dangerous, she knew what she was doing. She knew that if she got children with the man, that children would suffer. So she chose to contribute to that toxic environment you grew up in. She chose to contribute to your victimization. Yes, she did. And here's the thing, that grandfather of yours, he says he barely has contact with your father. But later you hear that your parents went there to visit him. So your grandfather is lying. And here's another thing. If your mother, which is his daughter, if his daughter turned out to be, an enabler, then he, as an adult, should have kept his distance from his daughter. Because come on, anyone that enables an evildoer contributes to evil doing. They contribute to danger. And anyone that contributes to danger, you need to keep them at a distance because they're not safe to be around. Why did your grandfather get along with that abusive relationship that his daughter chose for? And which woman in her right mind would choose for an abusive relationship to begin with? Come on. So Jack heard everything she was saying, and Jack told her, "Dear, I'm glad with a woman like you in my life, you opened my eyes. Indeed, this doesn't add up." And then she tells him, "Jack, don't go to that meeting. You've cut your parents off 2 years ago. It was a very difficult thing to do, but you recovered and you realized now it was needed. That man, your grandfather, is an enabler himself. And he is being used by dark powers to draw you back in danger. Don't fall for it." In the parable I just gave unto you, there were red flags that this Jack didn't notice. And here's another red flag that I didn't include in the parable, but that I'm discussing right now. That grandfather, he raised that girl that became Jack's mother. I'm not saying that you can't raise children and it turned out completely different than you intended. It happens. But for some reason, that daughter felt comfortable and confident choosing a malignant narc as her partner, and she was even open about it to her father, and the father got along with it. Now I'm sorry, but something doesn't add up here. Why would she, being confident, make such a dumb decision in the presence of her father? Unless her father is just like the man she's dating now. Unless the man she's dating reflects some of the characteristics she got used to while growing up. So something is not right with her grandfather. In the parable I just gave unto you, Jack chose a partner that supported him. And this is a very important message to you men listening to this. Make sure that the partner you choose to be with is someone that's really supportive of you, and not someone that's just supportive of her own needs. Because if Jack's girlfriend was only interested in sustaining her own needs, she would have told him, you know what, just go over there. It's family. No, she looked beyond. She was alert. And she informed her man when her man didn't notice anything. She didn't condemn him, she didn't turn on him, but she supported him. That's the type of partner you need. Not someone who expects you to bow down to their needs unconditionally without any concern for you. Okay, just want to point that out. Just like Jack in this parable, he made the right decision. He looked at the situation for what it was. He was not in denial. He acknowledged facts for what they were and realized his people have chosen to be dangerous and hold on to danger, and they don't want to regard my safety, so I don't want them around. And Jack meant it, because when some of the relatives tried to get him back to make it up with his parents, some of those relatives were aware of how bad his parents were, but they didn't want to talk about that. They said that Jack was wrong for doing whatever he did to his parents. So Jack was made into the perpetrator and his parents into the victims. So even came with Bible verse saying you need to honor your mother and father and all of that. Jack was smart. Jack refused all of it. Jack was firm. My life matters, my safety matters, and everyone that comes near me ought to value my safety. People that compromise my safety, I do not take it. Jack was firm, Jack was clear. That's how it ought to be. In this case, it wasn't just Jack's parents were the perpetrators. Those other relatives were also perpetrators because they didn't hold Jack's parents accountable. They continued having contact and having fellowship with evildoers. So they enabled the evildoers. So also the environment around Jack was a perpetrator against Jack. That is something you need to learn also. Look at the environment also. Don't only look at the perpetrator or the instance, look at the whole scene. When a crime scene happens and forensics arrive, they don't just look at the body, at that body and the state of the dead body. Also look at the scene. Where are the blood trails? Are there any footprints around? Is there a bullet somewhere? Is there a cigarette that someone just threw away? They look at the whole scene. They make pictures of the whole scene so they can get a bigger picture of the crime scene. It's when they have a bigger picture of the crime scene that they can make connections between the piece of evidence they collect, and that's how they can make analysis and they can come with hypothesis of what happened. That's how crime solving works. That's why when detectives receive a cold case, they go through the documentation of the crime scene. Because often it's one detail that people overlooked that can lead to the solution of the crime. Just one detail. And in a similar manner, with many people, it's just one detail that I'm not saying they overlooked it, but it's one detail they haven't noticed that sheds a whole new light on the situation. In the case of Jack, Jack didn't notice the odd behavior of his grandfather. If he would have noticed it, he would have got contact with the man immediately, because he would realize this man is an enabler also. Now, let's go to the next parable. The next parable may be a more familiar situation to some of you who are listening to this, but it's the story of Christine that meets new friends. And the new friends are fun to be around. They have girls' nights out and all of that. So it all goes well. Then Christine meets this guy. They begin to date. Oh, and it goes well also. Her new friends are also happy for her. Then one of the associates of Christine meets with her at Starbucks. They haven't seen each other for about 3 years old. And Christine shares about her new friends and this new guy she is involved with. And Christine talks about how he treats her nice on dates and all of that. And then the associate asks Christine, Christine, you thought a lot of lovely things about this guy, but I miss one important thing. And Christine asks, what is that? The acquaintance said, Christine, this guy's overwhelmed you with so much romance that you can't think straight anymore. Okay, where are his relatives? Where are his parents? Where are his friends? I mean, if you can spend so much time with a woman at that age, then I ask, when does he work? How does he get his income? Christian said he works as an accountant. He has a managing position, so he earns good money. Then Aquantis told her, even if that is true, Christine, it still feels a bit odd that you don't know much about his background, yet you're so into him. Don't you think this is a bit weird? And you know what? That acquaintance noticed that Christine had no intention of facing facts, so that acquaintance lowered contact with Christine, and after a while, she broke all contact with Christine. Now, why was this the right thing to do? Christine was an irreality. Christine did not want to examine anything. So what would happen naturally? And anytime, because sooner or later things would go bad, things would turn ugly. Anytime things would turn ugly, Christine, because she doesn't want to face the truth, she would look for an outlet. And this acquaintance realized, hold on a minute, I don't want to be there when things get ugly, because I don't want her to see me as a potential outlet. So that acquaintance prevented a lot of headache by just going no contact with Christine. Soon after this, many other people went no contact with Christine. So even some of her new friends that she enjoyed that much turned their backs on her. Now, what am I teaching you with this parable? Pay attention to how people respond when you highlight concerns to them. Because when you notice that someone has no intention of considering that something may not be right, when you notice someone has no intention and no interest in seeing anything but their own so-called bliss, I'm telling you, such an individual is in toxic denial. And people in toxic denial will always turn on you when you point out the inevitable truth to them. Because they have no interest in the truth whatsoever. The only thing that matters is their own gratification. They're narcissistic. Some are even narcissists. So, when you encounter such an individual, notice what you're dealing with. And realize that it may not be wise to deal with such an individual at all. Now, don't get me wrong here. Some people can be stubborn, but eventually they'll learn and they turn their ways. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be patient with people, but there's a difference between someone that's just stubborn for a moment and someone that holds on to denial. Someone that's stubborn may see what's going on but still think that he or she can manage it. Someone in denial doesn't even want to know that something doesn't add up. And then that's far more dangerous. With the one that's stubborn, you at least can work on something eventually, once they're willingly to let go. But someone in denial, you can't work with anything, because anything real that you present them, they refuse it. Such folks are far more dangerous than you realize. Okay, the next parable will be the last. You had this guy whose company went bankrupt, and for 3 years he was in economic let me say he was in poverty for 3 years. After 3 years, he, with assistance of some business owners, he had another company, and things recovered. In those 3 years, this guy, let's call him Bob. In these 3 years, I want to say those 3 years passed by, Bob saw the true colors of the people around him. He had people, including relatives, that came to visit him when things were going wrong with him, and they would continue to talk about all the great stuff that were happening in other people's lives, and how other people were hardworking to solve their issues. After a while, Bob cut those people off permanently, because he realized, hold on a minute, I'm going through an economic hardship now, which also caused me to become depressed. I could become homeless anytime. And what are these people doing? They come here, talk about how good other people's lives are, and not only that, they come with accusation covertly that I'm not doing enough to solve my situation. So Bob realized, if those people are willingly to accuse me now that things are going bad with me, that shows that they were against me all along. Bob also considered it quite weird that people did have money to go on holidays, to expensive parties in the weekend and all of that, and that people even had time to come to him and to gossip about all the good stuff that were happening in other people's lives, but none of them could make any effort to lend him a helping hand financially. Because Bob is someone that's hardworking. He was going through a very hard time then. He also broke down mentally. But Bob had character. He would never take advantage of anyone. But now Bob saw that people were taking advantage of him while he was in a bad condition. And he realized, hold on a minute, this is wrong. Why would you choose to spend time with someone that's completely broke and mentally broken down, but you're not willingly to give him a helping hand? So why are you coming to begin with? So Bob cut those people off. And the fact that he cut those people off helped him to recover quicker. Because those people were maintaining the best situation that was around him. And he realized this. So he thought, enough with all of you. And, that's the parable. Understand the following. There will be bad times in your lifetime. Yes, there will be stormy seasons. In those stormy seasons, don't be distracted by the bad times. Don't be distracted by the waves. Don't be distracted by the rainfall. Don't be distracted by the financial difficulties. No. Pay close attention to how people are treating you. Pay close attention to the pattern of behavior they enact towards you. Because when everything goes well with you, you're not going to notice much of people's true colors. It's when things go wrong with you and when they have the option to get away with doing you dirty, it's then you will see who people really are. In the parable, when Bob finally recovered, he never contacted those other people again. Never. Because he realized how dangerous they were. And those people had a lot of bad stuff going on in their lives they didn't want to face. And Bob realized that the reason why they were comfortable being around him was because they could use him to compare themselves to and feel good about themselves. So Bob realized that he was mentally broken down, he was going through a lot of financial difficulties, and that people were using his misery to feel good about themselves. Bob realized how messed up that situation was. The parable I just gave on to you is a similar thing that I've experienced. I won't go into details now, but let me tell you, when things seem to fall apart around you, pay close attention to how people are treating you. I mean it. And once you identify someone that enables danger onto you, do what you have to do. Lower contact, and if you see that they can't handle that they don't want to reconsider their position towards you, go no contact. I'm telling you, go no contact. And no contact means no contact. So don't permit them to have indirect access to you through relatives or through so-called friends. Go no contact completely. And there's another thing you need to catch here. Some people do not want to face themselves. They do not want to face their circumstances, so they look for someone to project it upon. So they will go no contact with someone, but not because that someone did them any wrong, but they'll pretend and hold on that the other one did them wrong somehow. Why? Because they don't want to face themselves. You have folks like that. It may sound very dumb, very weird, but you have people like that. They don't want to face themselves, so they want someone to enact their rage upon. So they will go no contact also, and they'll hold on to it. It's all about feeling good about themselves. You have such people. Now, if you have someone that goes no contact with you, just like that, without any wrongdoing on your part, I'm telling you, be glad they went no contact with you. Because now they have to deal with their toxicity. Now they have to deal with their rage and their unexamined expectations. You are now safe. Praise the Lord. No contact is not really an option. It's the only thing to do when there's danger towards you. Okay, let me give an illustration now. Let's say you're in a building and there's fire and the fire is raging. What do? You exit the building. And let's say there is a fire exit over there, which is far easier than going through the front door. Are you then going to the front door because it's a front door? No, you take the fire exit. So the fire exit isn't an option, it's the way out. You take the fire exit to escape being devoured by the flames. That is what you ought to do. And you leave things behind because you can't take everything with you. If you're in a building and the building is on fire and the building even collapses because of the fire, I'm telling you, you go to the fire exit as soon as possible. And if you need to leave your laptop, your mobile phone, or even some money behind, you do it. Your life is far more important. In a similar way, when it comes to no contact, you may have to leave certain things behind. Certain relationships, certain so-called friendships, or, yes, that's true. And it may hurt for a moment, but let me tell you, your life is far more important. Your safety is far more important than what you have to leave behind. Let's say there is a building on fire. The fire is raging. The firefighters are out there doing their best to quench the fire, but the fire is getting worse and they want to get people out. Let's say a firefighter comes and says, "Follow me. We're going to the fire exit. You need to get out of here." Or someone says, "Hold on a minute. I need to get my laptop. I need to get my fancy clothes. I need to do this and that. I can't live without it. I worked so hard for it." What do you think the firefighter is going to think? He's going to say, "Dude, are you out of your mind?" Or if it's a woman, he would say, "Girl, are you out of your mind? Come on. This building's on fire. It's about to collapse. You're about to die here. And you are concerned with your delicacies." Okay, your delicacies are important to you. I get that. And there's nothing wrong with having delicacies, but your safety matters far more now. But let me tell you, there are people who are more into their delicacies, so-called delicacies, whatever those are, than they're concerned about their safety and the safety of others. Well, such folks also lower contact and, when appropriate, go no contact. No contact is the fire escape to save your life. It's the fire escape for you to recover, to be free from danger, to be free from harm. So take it very seriously. That's why don't use no contact just as a tool to change people's behavior. No. People should want to change. People should want to be delivered. People should want to be a better them. If people have no intention of seeking deliverance, don't use no contact as a means to provoke them to seek change. Don't make them miss you so they would change to be with you. Because that type of change isn't real change. It's just a shift in their behavior that is fleeting. So don't do that. Once you notice that it's real danger, go no contact. Plain and simple.